Hi guys, I hope you are doing well, and in this video we're going to be discussing about producer surplus. Now what is producer surplus? Okay, so producer surplus is the welfare gain or the benefits or the gains made by the producer in terms of producer's welfare, which we call it producer surplus, because he has actually supplied a product at a much higher price than the minimum price he was willing to sell it for, right? So for instance, let's say if there is this marker, right, and I produce this marker and the minimum price that I'm actually willing to sell it for is, let's say, $10, right? And that's the price I'm going to sell it for, that I'm willing to sell it for. But the market is offering me a price that is much higher than the price I'm willing to sell this marker for, right? So let's say the market is offering me a price for this marker that is $15. So the difference, that is $5, that is $15 minus $10, is actually my producer welfare, or you can say it is my gains, or I'm actually benefiting by selling it at a much higher price than the minimum price I was willing to sell it for. So the gains made by the producer in terms of his welfare is basically simply producer surplus. So you could define producer surplus as, you can say, producer surplus is the you can define producer surplus by saying that producer surplus is the benefit or gains, or you can say welfare gains, that are made by the producer. And why has he made these welfare gains? He has made these welfare gains because is the benefit gains made by the producer because of selling a product at a higher price than he was willing and able to sell it for, So then he was willing and able to sell it for, as in the minimum price he was willing and able to sell it for, because he sells it at a price that is much higher than the minimum price he was willing and able to sell it for. Okay guys, so from this conclusion we can actually derive a definition of producer surplus. That is, producer surplus is the difference between the market price and the minimum price the producer is willing and able to sell the goods for, right? To sell the product for the goods for. So from this conclusion I have derived another definition which is quite similar to this, that it is a difference between the market price and the minimum price the producer is willing and able to sell the good for or the product. So remember that the example that I just gave right now of the marker, and I said that the minimum price I am actually willing to sell the marker for is, let's say, $10. I'm not going to sell it for below $10. This is the minimum that I'm going to be selling it for. Above $10, very good, yes, definitely. If someone gives me more than $10, I'm more than happy, but not below this. So this is the minimum price that I should get if I want to sell this marker for, right? And why is this the minimum price? We're going to be discussing it in another video of producer surplus that I'm going to be making and uploading it on my channel later on. So $10 is the minimum price that I'm willing to accept this. And let's say if I get $15 for it, right? So I'm getting $15 for it. So obviously $5 is basically representing my producer surplus for selling this marker at a much higher price than the minimum price I was willing and able to sell it for. Okay, so now we can show the area of the producer surplus on a supply curve as well. So I've drawn a supply curve, an upward sloping supply curve, and on the axis it's quantity supplied mentioned and then price mentioned. And let's take an example of Mr. A. He, let's say, sells chairs. He produces and sells chairs. Okay, so let's take an example where he's producing and selling one chair. So guys, we know that supply is representing the willingness plus the ability to supply a good for at a particular price. You guys remember the definition of supply, that it's the willingness and ability to supply a good for at a particular price. Okay, so for example, if let's say I produce one chair and I want to see how much am I willing and able to sell it for, then I need to see that where is it intersecting at my supply curve, because supply curve is showing you the willingness and ability to sell or to supply at a particular price. So I need to see that what is that price I am willing and able to supply this chair, right? So if I need to see where it intersects my supply curve, so I come over here, this is the point, and then this is representing the price I am willing and able to supply my chair for. So let's say it's $3, right? So the price I'm willing and able to supply my chair for is $3. Okay, fine. Let's say the second chair, how much am I willing and able to supply the second chair for? Okay, so since supply curve is the willingness and ability to supply a good for, so I'm willing and able to supply this chair for at a price of, let's say, $4. Okay, good. The third chair, I'm willing and able to supply the third chair at a price of, let's say, $5. The fourth chair, I am willing and able to supply the fourth chair at a price of, let's say, $6. Perfect. Now let's assume, for this question's sake, that this price, $6, is actually the market price, right? Which means that the fourth chair that I am willing and able to supply it for is actually at the minimum price I am going to be accepting is actually the market price itself. Okay, now come to the definition. It is the difference between the market price and the minimum price the producer is willing and able to sell the good for. So the first chair, if I write chairs here, the first chair, what is the minimum price I am going to sell the chair for? The minimum price I'm going to sell the chair for is, let's say, $3. What is the market price according to this question? It's $6. So the market price is $6. Very simple, guys. If the market price is $6, which means that this vertical distance between $6 and $3, this is actually representing my producer surplus by supplying one chair at a much higher price, that is $6 at the market price, but I was willing and able to sell it for $3. So that is a gain that I have made as a producer. So the producer surplus is, let's say, how much? $3. So the producer surplus is $3 for the second chair. The minimum price that I'm willing and able to sell it for is $4 and the market price is $6. So my producer surplus is $2. Okay, again, very good. So again, this vertical distance is representing my producer surplus. So this is my producer surplus, this is my producer surplus, and the third chair, I am the minimum price that I am actually willing and able to accept to sell it for is $5, and my producer surplus is the market price is $6, so my producer surplus is $1. So guys, so the fourth chair I am willing and able to supply at the minimum of $6. The market price is $6. Since the minimum price and the market price are equal, which means that I was willing and able to sell, the minimum I was willing and able to accept was the market price itself. So there's no welfare gain or no additional benefits that I've gained. So my total producer surplus in this case is how much? If you add them up, 3 plus 2 plus 1, that is 6. So it's $6, right? So basically you can see that I have made a total producer surplus of $6 by selling a total of 4 chairs. So I sold 4 chairs and I made a total producer surplus, that is a total producer welfare gain of $6. And each time I was selling a chair, or you can say each time an additional chair that I sold, I made a welfare gain. I bagged the welfare gain, which means that each additional chair that I sold, I was actually selling it at a much higher price than the minimum price I was willing to accept it for. And as a result, that resulted into a gain, a welfare gain being made on each of the 4 chairs that I was selling, and a total of $6 on the total 4 chairs that I've sold. So yeah, so this is the basic concept of producer surplus. So we can see that this whole, if we actually sum up these vertical distances for each additional chair, if we sum all these vertical, these vertical lines, we get an area that is equivalent to, this triangle, that is triangle ABC, which is actually the producer surplus. So it's representing the producer surplus that the producers have gained by selling these 4 chairs at a much higher price than the price they were actually willing to supply it for. So it's producer surplus is nothing but producer's welfare, or the welfare gains made by the producer. So this is all about producer surplus, guys. I hope you all enjoyed the video. In my next video, I'm going to be telling producer surplus in a much kind of a little bit higher technical way, because I'm going to be explaining it through the concept of marginal cost. But that is more relevant to A2, not for AS. But even if AS students want to see it, they are most welcome. So I'll see you all in the next video. Till then, take care.